Legends of Iron. I'm Jon Andersen. Meet my co-hosts, Nick Best and Akeem Williams. We're going to have some amazing guests on the show. Buckle up tight, because we're going to be talking about the shit you're not supposed to be talking about. We're going to be discussing anything and everything it takes to become a Legend of Iron.
Legends of Iron is brought to you by Muscle Mints. Muscle Mints is the creator of carnivore pure beef protein isolates. Beef builds muscle, and carnivore is the world's #1 selling beef protein. Welcome to another edition of Legends of Iron. I am Jon Andersen. With me always, my partners in crime, Nick Best and Akeem Williams. Unfortunately, Akeem is overseas somewhere doing some appearances, so he will not be joining us today. However, it's going to be just fine because we have a guest. And when I'm talking about a guest, we have got an exciting guest for you today. This guy, like most of us, started off lifting weights, became a track and field star at LSU, then carried his skills into the world of Highland games, where he became a 2-time world champion. But that's not it. He is just a bona fide badass motherfucker. But most importantly, why I love him the most, because he lives life his way. He does not listen to the rules of society. He does it his way and his way only. Matt Vincent, what's up, my brother? Welcome to the show.
Man, what's up with you, man? I'm excited to get a chance to chat. It's always fun.
Absolutely, bro.
Oh, man, how you doing?
Nick, how are you, man? It's been a minute.
I know it's been a few minutes. Doing good.
Yeah, I'm glad to see it. You've had a hell of a run, dude. It's been exciting to see with the TV show and all that. I love seeing people that work hard, like, have it all pay off, right?
Yeah, thank you very much. It's been quite the journey. It's been a lot of fun.
I'm sure it's still going. It's been a hell of an experience, dude.
It has.
Nick absolutely kicks the shit out of Father Time. Father Time doesn't know how to get a hold of Nick. That's for sure. So.
He knows.
That's good. He's kicking my ass, so it's perfect. I'll take any tips I can get, man.
Well, brother, on that level, I want to jump right in, because you have got some really, really interesting stuff to talk to us about. Obviously, you know, especially as a high-level athlete, a world champion, you put your body through the ringer. You got injuries, you got pain management, obviously pain medicine, which leads, obviously, we've all been down that road of addiction, but you've actually had a totally different spin on this. Tell us about how you have learned to manage your chronic pain with some very outside-the-box methodologies. Yeah,
so I guess, for your listeners that don't know, I ran through a spat there where my knee went south on me. So I ended up having 9 knee surgeries in about a 3-year stint, and kind of got to the point where in under 2 years, I had gone from taking second in the world in my sport to walking and traveling with a cane. And there really wasn't going to be anywhere out of the woods for that before more and more operations. And so pain had got really out of control. And so I really went into trying to find everything I could, from changing nutrition and diet. The first things I did were the obvious ones, like, let's figure out diet wise and make sure everything I'm doing there is anti-inflammatory. So switch to ketogenic diet, managed to even get further into carnivore to, dude, if I can steal 0.5% away from pain, I'll take anything that's going to give it to me at that point.
Totally.
Anything that also keeps opiates out of me. I just don't operate real well with them. And look, they're there to serve a purpose. I think if pain gets to, acute pain is something that's hitting you at an 8, that's what they're for. I don't know that they're ever supposed to be used for long-term chronic pain management. And so for me, digging out of that, so the diet was the first thing. Ended up losing about 65 pounds, give or take, and saw some benefit there. Saw some benefit to hot and cold tubs, saw some benefit to trying some peptides, saw some benefit to cannabis, made a switch there, quit drinking, and then into psychedelics, really, just basically willing to try anything. And
let's talk about this.
Psychedelics.
This is where we cross into, this is the territory where most people are right now going, did he just say psychedelics? So let's
yeah.
You got to explain that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You gotta tell us about this.
So, I mean, I've been interested in it for a long time and have some pretty good exposure to, I don't know, people I would say in the know in that crowd that have been good guiders. And as, you know, speaking to them and seeing what a benefit it's been to their life, as well as, man, I'm just such an experience whore that I need to know firsthand. And if it's going to be that wild and it's something that people I know, respect, talk about is a game changer in their life as far as perception and happiness and dealing with things like that, I'm interested. If it's going to be that much of a performance enhancer, let's find out. And if it's not, then we know. So dabbled in, I think, some psilocybin mushrooms, pretty much the first thing I tried. And the biggest thing I noticed from it immediately is pain went to a zero.
Now, explain that a little bit. So because most of us don't really connect what that looks like, how big it is. I mean, most people like myself, I have very little experience with something like this. So I would love to understand, describe what you said, something mushroom, describe.
Yeah, psilocybin mushroom. So psilocybin mushroom is just that's the psychoactive mushroom that's going to have psilocybin in it, which is going to help cause the magic of mushrooms, I guess would be the simplest way to say it. Plenty of mushrooms out there that do lots of great things. Anything with psilocybin in it is going to be magic. And that's going to be something that's going to cause more of a psychedelic trip or experience. So I started dabbling in that, and it was really interesting. I think the first time I did it was somewhere around 1 gram, which is relatively controlled dose. It's enough to know, like, oh, I'm on mushrooms, but it definitely isn't taking a full step on the rocket ship.
So what besides pain going away, what else did you feel?
Gratitude and perception shift really big. The way I would describe it is, like, if you've kind of got some shit going on, for me, it worked very, very therapeutically in a way that I was able to examine my bullshit that I was dealing with, whether outside of the pain too, whether that's shit falling apart in my marriage or my personal life or being depressed or not dealing with that the end of my time as an athlete had come up, or this identity crisis as far as, holy shit, I can't even go up and down stairs anymore. And it allowed me to look at all that in a different way and not be defensive about it with my own ego about who I am, and more have gratitude for the fact that I ever got to do those things, that I ever got to compete at a world level, that I ever got to travel around the planet with the raddest dudes ever and throw fucking stupid rocks in a field that someone agreed to measure. Like, what a fucking scam on life this has been, guys. We've developed skills that don't help us in any metric, yet they're interesting enough that people are into it. So
somebody agreed to measure it. That's the best part of that statement.
Right. And so, like, having that perspective on it changed a lot of the feeling of depression, the stuff, letting go of that identity and being more interested about who we are going forward instead of, man, doing battle with my own ghost in the past. So I really didn't expect that big of therapeutic thought to come. Also, great fun. I mean, the actual psychedelic part, as far as visualization, if you are going to get any visuals that don't happen every time you take them, but when they do, they're interesting. I enjoy it. I'm not panicked by it, and so it's been fun.
Interesting.
Let me ask you a question, brother. So just to kind of, because I'm wondering, so I'm sure listeners are too. So you take this, obviously your perception, your pain decreases, goes away, your perception changes. I mean, are you able to get in the car and go to 7-Eleven, or is this like, okay, I'm going to put myself on the couch for the afternoon?
I would recommend the couch.
Okay, gotcha. So this is something like a block time of therapy. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Gotcha. I'm treating it like that, not like a party.
Okay, gotcha.
This is definitely one of those that, like, I'm aware that I'm taking this. It's time to do some work.
Gotcha. Okay.
And the advantage of the fact that it turned off the pain perception, like, I'm aware it's still there, so it's not like it doesn't hurt and I need to go train heavy. Like, that's fucking dumb.
Yeah.
It's not there. So, like, just be grateful that you're actually getting a vacation from it. Like that's not making any noise. It's not causing a distraction. It's not. And so it freed me up to put energy towards something else.
Gotcha. Okay.
And allowed me to work on me. And since, look, I'm someone that talks for a living, right? Like I'm pretty good at my own bullshit. And so something like mushrooms or any of that, where you end up being your therapist and it kind of gives you tools to deal with it, it doesn't allow you to lie to you.
Gotcha.
And so I need that.
Yeah. Okay. So is this something that you would do? Like, was it something that you did like on some sort of a repetition basis? Was there some sort of a protocol, or you do it when you feel that you need to make some forward steps? I mean, what was the plan of attack to use it?
Plan of attack at first was just dabble, see how it felt, and then kind of go from there. There's a cost to it, like for sure. There's not just no down the next day. Like you're not hungover, but there's definitely a down. Where a bit more mellow, a bit serotonin, dopamine drop. Like, so there's some stuff you can do to combat that right before on the front end. But, being aware of that part of it and how there's going to be a cost to it kind of puts like, what do I have going on this week and when can I put this into my schedule? Because for those 3 to 7 hours that if I'm going to dive into that, like I probably need to be away from my phone. It doesn't operate very well with mushrooms. Which is another.
Really well, it's very irritating for other people.
No, man, it's the navigating it yourself that gets tricky. And man, have either of you guys ever messed with psychedelics at all?
No.
Okay,
so we're learning from you.
Okay,
yeah, this is our maiden voyage with you, brother.
So it's really interesting, right? Like as far as drugs go, most people's only frame of reference for altered consciousness is going to be pot or drinking, and like there's a point with drinking, right? That you're just not at the wheel. Like we've all seen people who just turn into a new human and fucking shift off. Like. Yeah, I look at it like those people just have a different allergy to that chemical than I do. And their body reacts differently. So even on some really big doses of psilocybin or anything else, LSD or ayahuasca that I've dabbled in, I don't ever feel not there. Like the more that you can kind of stick with it and work on breathing and focus and get still and be present, the more it shows up. But so it really works well for you to work into it, right? Like kind of doing more focus. I'm definitely working that way because there's going to be some really uneasiness that comes. And so you focus on your breath to get through it. And kind of part of the way, mantras, I guess, that go with psychedelics is kind of what's coming is going. So when really challenging things pop up, they're going to leave because, look, they always have. Like anytime there's ever been a hard point in your life up to this point, it also ended.
Yeah.
And so allowing that to go and get out of you instead of holding on to it or trying not to acknowledge it.
That is a fantastic way of looking at things. Everything in your life that was hard or bad, it still ended.
Yeah.
A lot of people need to realize that that's ended and move on.
Yeah.
So that's pretty profound, actually. It's awesome.
Yeah. Even for people not doing mushrooms, that's still a great piece of advice.
Yeah.
This is just some of the tools that enlightened some of those concepts for me. Right. Yeah. And so you're not drunk per se. And so I can always kind of click back in. Like if you're like, hey, Matt, what's going on? I could turn in and talk to you and hold a conversation.
Okay.
If I lose focus on that conversation, I'm probably gone.
Okay.
The dangling keys or a shiny light on the wall will be tricky. But visuals and stuff like that are fun. I've never with mushrooms or LSD or with ayahuasca, like I've never visually seen something that's not there. It's not like a pink elephant shows up in the room, right? Like I've never had that experience. You will kind of more vividly daydream, I guess would be the way that it would work. You'd have visions, but they're really internal, for the most part. Now, with mushrooms or LSD, don't get me wrong, you see stuff, but the stuff you see is like everything ends up having like a pattern overlaid on it. I guess almost geometry, or even everything just kind of gets weirdly geometric. I can see how people would think there's a bit of a simulation going on. I get it.
This is really interesting stuff, brother. So clearly you started to dabble, you realize there's a benefit. So let's connect this to your chronic pain. Mm-hmm. What type of a protocol did you put together for yourself to manage your chronic pain with the psychedelics? I mean, was it like every so often you would do it, or what was helping you? How did you put it together?
So I was doing a bigger trip, probably once a month. And that was more like therapy.
Please define bigger trip. That's
so a bigger trip would be so let's say like 3 to 5 grams.
Oh, okay. So
it's a full blast off. Yeah. Okay. So one was my very first experience. What's historically called within that community as a heroic dose is 5 grams. And so I was doing between 3 and 5 grams, and like that's committed. Like I don't have other shit going on. I'm getting away from my phone. Like I am diving in to see where this wants to go. And other than that, I've microdosed psilocybin now daily for about the last 2 years. And
so describe microdose, because you're
so I microdose. Yep. So microdose the capsule I take, and fuck me, I wish they were places people could get them, but that's how we are, right? We're not in a society that makes them legal, but here's what I take. It's 5 mushrooms are in the capsule, 4 of which are not psychedelic. We have reishi, changa, lion's mane, and cordyceps, which do great stuff for neurogenesis, as well as
and those endurance. Are all legal and common.
Those are all legal, common. You can get them in a ton of stuff. They're just wildly beneficial for humans.
Yeah.
And then in there as well is a 0.12 of, so a 1/12 or 10th of a gram of psilocybin. So if 1 gram is enough to be like, oh, I'm taking mushrooms, but it's not a big dose, I'm taking a 10th of a small dose. If that gives you an idea of what microdose level would
so
be.
Does that change your mood? Does that change how you look at things? On a daily basis, what's that do?
Have you ever taken like a nootropic, alpha brain, anything like that?
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. It's similar to that.
A little bit of feel like that, right? Where you're a little bit more focused, a little bit dialed in, but it's not jittery.
Yeah. Okay.
The best way I would describe it is if I had a prescription strength version of that.
Okay.
But it's not Adderall. Because I'm not interested in that either.
So you're really taking about like at the 1 gram, you're talking about how you were more focused, you were more in touch. So we're just taking that down to a 10th to where it's more of a functional daily dose.
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay.
And look, as I'm far from a fucking scientist, as we've discussed how I threw rocks in a field, and this is my own experience and what I believe, but listening to guys like really smart dudes like Paul Stamets or any of these others, what they talk about with microdosing, helping with the brain, is that our emotional patterns and our habits or triggers, things like that, get kind of cut in over time, and you realize that whenever a problem pops up, you typically handle it one way, whether that's immediately reacting with anger or freaking out or panic and control. We're wired a bit, this Pavlovian response that we end up over time, that whether we've inherited from being around our parents or whoever else that we saw handle problems.
Yeah.
Since those patterns get cut in, they become the path of least resistance because you know the road. right? Your body just immediately goes there because neurons go that way. That pathway in your brain is very opened up and used to traffic. And so it looks like a ski slope where people are following other people's tracks is what you end up seeing. So the microdose, what I've been explained, is that it lays fresh powder down and gives you more of an option for different ways of seeing things. And so you can kind of start to reprogram yourself a bit.
So rather than falling into your normal groove, which may not always be helpful, you're able to kind of have a new approach and almost retrain your approach to be more effective for your life.
Yeah, it seems the bigger the dose of or psilocybin for me, the less my autopilot system is able to kind of run.
Okay.
Really?
So whether that's just the autopilot system of getting triggered and jumping into a story or any of those things, you end up just kind of taking a step back, it seems, and able to look at it of like, why do I do that?
Gotcha. So you've got the psychedelics, and obviously prior to that, you had just standard painkillers.
Yeah, standard painkillers and opium. Yeah, opiates.
Yeah. So basically, you have that acute pain. You're taking the painkiller you want that 5-6 hour break from the pain. Now it's like, okay, let's not pollute ourselves with all the acetaminophen and all the bullshit that's in that. Let's take something that's natural, avoid the pain, and actually have some personal growth from the situation. That's kind of
that's how it's worked for me.
Okay.
100%.
So something that's actually better for you. Yeah.
It has been awesome for me. I can't imagine a point in my life where I will go back to not having some type of plant medicine as part of my routine.
Well, that's what medicine is. It's just refined plants anyway.
Right. The same thing as hot and cold therapy or anything else. I mean, these are all things I'm doing to enhance my performance in life.
Yeah.
I'm really intrigued with this. This is really informative.
Yeah. No, I mean, this is something that the world needs to hear, because I tell you, brother, when we were chatting before and you told me a little bit about this, I thought, man, this is something. Normally, when you think of people taking mushrooms, you think of people just going to, wear a bunch of crazy colors and trip out and go to some different place. Not always. You're talking about constructive use. I think it's just the unknown. Most people just don't understand the capability of the substance. Yeah.
No, and it's a bummer because we've decided as a society to not study it, and we haven't for a long time. But they're now studying it quite a bit at Johns Hopkins and using it to help PTSD and help different traumas, and they're seeing huge benefits for people.
Yeah.
And I mean, hell, from stuff on cancer wards of helping people kind of deal with the idea that their time's coming up. It just seems to be a really, I don't know. I definitely feel that I see the world very differently post that point in my life. And I feel a lot happier.
So compare the time when you were using, standard pain meds to now, just in terms of your overall being. It sounds like you're two different people.
100%. I mean, just being in the chronic pain, right? And then it's just triage the whole fucking time, because you can't train because you're fucked up. And one of the ways you manage stress is training. So you can't do that. So what? Then really hold tight on the diet and sit there and do that? That's fucking miserable. And so I was just miserable all the fucking time. Yeah. I can't train. I'm not who I was. And I knew at some point, like, I wasn't going to be a Highland Games athlete. Like, I never was going to have fucking 2-time world champion written on my tombstone. It's a really rad thing I did, but it's not who I am.
It's what you did.
I love the experience, dude. It's a chapter in my life the same way playing high school football was. And it came and it went. But man, I really struggled with, I wasn't an athlete anymore. Because so far in my life, I'd never kind of put together how lucky I've been that this has been the fucking meat suit that I showed up in. I mean, there's so many options out there, right? I didn't get to pick this thing, but fuck, this avatar is awesome. And not only that, like, I figured out how to manipulate it. I can make it stronger. I can make it lose
Yeah.
weight. I'm in better control of my avatar now than I was. And so dealing with pain then, man, and I was just fucking miserable and I couldn't see any way forward. And all I could see ahead was a normal existence surviving. And, man, with the opiates, I'm just sloppy. Your brain gets slow. You're not sharp. And if I'm going to let the athletics thing go, I can't give up the other part.
Yeah. Yeah. And God knows anybody that's taken any sort of pain med has had some level of addiction, really bad. I mean, I've been through that. Most athletes that have had an injury have had some level of addiction from a pain med. And the worst part is any doctor will refill that prescription for you over and over. Next thing you know, you're fully hooked.
Well, especially when you look like us and you're coming in and you're healthy. You know, it looks like that we're pretty switched on to taking care of ourselves, but man, fucking pain's a tricky one, dude. And the chronic pain is really different. Chronic pain versus acute pain are really, really different things. Cannabis has helped me with chronic pain a ton for just daily management. The
Talk
acute
to us
pain
a little bit
stuff.
about that. Talk to us about the cannabis too, please.
I really hadn't started smoking, right? So Highland Games is a weird sport for those who don't know, but like we're drug tested a shitload. And so like I wasn't able to use anything, even cannabis, until after I got out of the sport. But using cannabis more, and as soon as I was able to start using it to try to manage pain or figure that out, I really liked it. I also liked the creativity that came with it. I liked how I was more perceptive of watching movies and doing the other things that inspire me to want to create stuff for the brand or travel or whatever it is we do. That's where I find my kind of creative outlet. And it was a great tool. It kind of just, when pain was at a 1 or a 2, which it is most of the time, I just don't care about it. It's not that it's gone. It's just I give less of a fuck. And so if that seems better than me eating a pain pill, because, you know, at least I'm still aware that it's there. I'm not pretending it isn't with a nerve block that's, you know, I'm still damaging the part.
Yeah. And that stuff too, I'm telling you that the amount of acetaminophen that is in that stuff, which is one of the most toxic things on the shelf in any drugstore. I mean, most, like when you see 325.5, 325.10, it's the 325 that's the acetaminophen. That's the biggest part of the pill, which is the most toxic. And that's one of the things people don't understand, is that those pain meds are highly toxic, as to where you're talking about is a natural thing, which is basically a natural spin on managing pain, which I think is what's so really interesting about all of what you're talking
about. And
well,
look,
the fact that it's not toxic.
Yes.
Right.
And the fact
I mean,
that
people will eat
toxic.
ibuprofen like it's not a big deal.
I know.
And that is
crazy.
a big deal.
It's a huge deal, especially what that does to your gut biome, gut health. Like, we know all those things at this point, right? That the bacteria in your gut makes a ton of decisions for you. It affects you emotionally and does all this other shit. So why continue to do that and then try to patch the problem on the back end?
Yeah. Very true. So, excuse me, to rewind a little bit back to the psychedelics. That's a very interesting topic. How did you discover who started you? How did you kind of move that direction? Because it's obviously very different. So somebody had to have come along and said, "Hey, you know what? This could be helpful." And I would imagine somebody gave you an idea how to start. Correct?
Yeah. I would say for a really long time, like my kook meter is pretty sensitive, and so hearing people get too kook and too spiritual and too woo woo, it's like, fucking great. Like I'm a bit more of a barbarian. I'm aware that I'm a fucking complete idiot, still a gorilla. And I got lucky enough to be introduced to Kyle Kingsbury, probably first off. He was out in Vegas a long time, Nick. I don't know if you ever crossed paths with Kyle, but Kyle was a UFC fighter. And then I got to know him through Jesse Burdick. And he ended up working for On It down in Austin. And the owner at the time, Aubrey Marcus, has been around that world and been kind of talking about plant medicine and psychedelics for a really long time. And after I, been friends with Kyle for a long time, I got exposed to that group, and I kind of got to see behind the curtain, man. Like, I got to see this different thing they were talking about, and there was a lot more love, and there was a lot more understanding, and there was empathy in this group, and there wasn't any scarcity, and they weren't fucking shitty to each other, and they cheered on each other's success, and they weren't jealous, and they weren't petty. And man, I couldn't help but be like, well, fuck. So this is an option? Why would I fucking try the other way? And if there's a thing that they did that helped enhance that or click it in to make that make more sense. I mean, look, man, I've seen them deal with some pretty wild shit gracefully and been enough behind the curtain to be able to be like, oh, wow, like, that's not a thing I've handled maturely in the past. And it's fucking incredible.
Dude, I love how fucking just straight up honest you are. That's the best part about listening to you talk, man.
Yeah. So like seeing that and then kind of knowing that I was interested, had some opportunity to, like I said, try mushrooms, try things like that. And then, the further kind of down that rabbit hole would be something like ayahuasca. And so at the beginning of 2020, Bonnie and I went on a trip to Costa Rica and went to a facility called Rhythmia and did 4 nights of ayahuasca. And it was a really, really interesting experience. It was really shifting. I expected it to be, as I, was pretty excited about getting to go and had done a lot of research on it. But that was the group that first introduced me. And then the more I've leaned into it, the more I've just kind of felt it was right. It's really worked well for me.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to tell anyone what the ideal way to do anything is.
Yeah.
I just want options.
Yeah, you're presenting a very viable option.
Right. That's like saying one fucking training method's the way to go. I don't agree.
Yeah, totally.
My mom needs a different protocol. She's trying to accomplish different things.
That's it. But the best part about this is that we're discussing an option that most people don't even recognize is there, or the stigma is kind of like what you said in the beginning. You were kind of like, you didn't quite understand that there was something here. You get a little deeper into it, you start to realize there is a possibility. And like you said, maybe it's not for everybody, but I think that just the fact that you're talking about this is going to really help people understand that, maybe taking Vicodin every fucking day for the next 2 years may not be the best fucking option.
It's not the best option, man. John, it's funny, man, because once I really found it and realized how valuable it was to me for development and progress and clearing my own bullshit out and empathy, just happier in general, dude. I can't express it enough, the difference in gratitude. But it's not a loss in drive or ambition or any of that. Fuck, it's more. It's more because I realize anything's possible.
Yeah.
Nothing's guaranteed. And no one's fucking handing it to me, but the doors are open.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so the more I kind of realized how powerful it was to me and dealt with my ADD well and all the other things that are in the way, man, it was really important that I kept my shit tight, like as far as my business, and that the podcast is consistent, and that the apparel stays, that we're producing good content, and that like the rest of my universe looks fucking crisp, because I don't want someone to be able to discount how powerful and helpful this is by being able to point at something like that. Yeah. And I do think it's that valuable. And if I'm going to be able to talk about it, I feel like I have to bulletproof the rest of those fucking loopholes.
Oh, that makes sense. Be a leading example.
Yeah, and that's it's so. I'm so glad you said that, brother, because I guarantee you, most people at a glance are going to think all of the things that society is kind of titled with, that it's just going to be about going on a trip and losing focus and losing drive and all. But
it's not a distraction.
You're explaining it's totally opposite if you use it in a way that's actually aimed to be helpful. You're not going out partying, you know?
No, I mean, I'm not going to pretend I also don't party. Because I fucking do. But there's a set and a setting like that. It's really important. And also with these chemicals or drugs or whatever it is, look, it can go south. You can plan on partying and it can make a different decision.
Talk to us a little bit about that. If you're using this for obviously we talked about the therapeutic part. Mm-hmm. Talk about when you say you're partying. If you use this also to kind of have fun.
I will. Yeah, absolutely. Again, set and setting really matters. Like, I'm not trying to take mushrooms and go to a concert that the energy is going to be real hectic. But if I'm going to be at a small thing and partying with a few friends and it's going to be relatively intimate and I know the people there and I trust everyone, perfect. It's going to be a really, really benefit in me being able to connect. And has been. Also, it makes being an observer really fun.
Okay.
So if you're going to kind of sit and look, and as far as party drugs go, like, alcohol's not a great one for me. I've done my fair share of it, but it really tends to highlight the parts of my personality and ego that I'm not that interested in showcasing anymore at 40 and damn near 40 years old. I would rather be a bit more introspective and careful of the things I say and how I act than the too loose that alcohol brings. I don't need inhibitions to be lowered. I need more pay attention. So it helps me do that.
Yeah. Well, it's really interesting, brother. I'm really happy that the way that you laid this out is going to be really helpful for people to actually see the side of it that you're using, you know, because I think, as you said, it's just been kind of the stereotype has put it into a place where no one would ever think about using it for some sort of therapy, you know? So that's really cool, brother. Really cool. Well, let's shift gears into Fueled by Hate. Let's go back to the beginning. So how does that Fueled by Hate? I believe that started off with you and your brother way back when. Talk to us, brother. Talk to us.
So the hate, where that really started, man, was me and my brother. You know, I remember talking about different athletes and seeing different people and, you know, hearing these stories of just these legendary dudes that are still out grinding. You know, Jerry Rice was the example we talked about. And it's, you know, this dude at, you know, Pro Bowler, best of all time, you know, arguably the GOAT. And he's still out there at 4 a.m. running these routes. And like, you know, he ain't doing that for you. No. He does that shit because when he gets up and looks in the mirror, it's not good enough. He can be better. And he's willing to pay that cost. And until you know, and for me, I'm willing to pay that cost. And I'm willing to fucking look at my bullshit and find my excuses and find the weaknesses and chip away at them. And I want to hate those parts of myself because I want to be better. And that's really what it was about. It was seeing those athletes. And man, we've all seen those dudes that someone else is gnarlier. We've all met them. And you go, fuck, that guy hates himself more than I do. You know, you hear some asshole who's like, "Oh, I did a 400-meter yoke carry." I'm like, "Fucking why?" Like,
hey, now wait a minute.
Right. Well, I mean, like that or fucking O.D. Wilson and World's Strongest Man, where they just killed him.
When they made him run around the 3 minutes. Yeah,
definitely no fuckery involved there. And World's Strongest Man. John Paul's down, maybe a 400-meter carry bricks.
One's guy's got to get first, the other one's got to get dead last. What can we do?
What would be an event that would do that?
I love that, brother, because you know every athlete that's accomplished something has had their own variant of your hate, and you know, like. Once I started to understand, you know, your philosophy and how that worked, I started kind of looking at myself going, what the hell, what was I doing? What was it that, and I think to myself, if I had actually put it into a nice, understandable little box or phrase, it could have been far more effective for me, So I love the fact that you actually put that into a place where you could look at it, boom, like you could push that button and it was there for you.
Yeah, it's been cool, man. It's been cool writing about it. It's been cool developing the brand. It's been cool. Now that I've been around and doing it with the brand for 8 years, and then the first time I wrote about hate would have been like 2011. Recently, it was kind of neat. I'd stumbled upon a really old YouTube video, and man, the fucking core message hasn't changed. I was really proud of that.
Yeah.
That it just naturally hasn't shifted that much, that it's still like, it's on me. No one's fucking going to do this for me. And I have to be the one who's not tolerant of my bullshit.
Yeah.
Because no one else is. Why would anyone care about my fucking success more than me?
Exactly. That's exactly. Nobody cares about your goals more than you do. People have to understand that. Your friends don't give a shit as much as you do. Your wife doesn't. It's all about you.
No.
That's beautiful. I love that, brother. So tell me.
And what it does, right, is it focuses everything back at you, John. Whereas so many different fucking people want to, must be nice, or if I did this, or look what they did. Like, fuck that. The scarcity mindset bullshit.
Yeah.
Like, dude, sort your own shit out.
Yeah. So with this whole philosophy, which I fucking love, tell me about some of the things that you can remember, because we've all had those moments in training or whatever it was that just this allowed you to do some things that you didn't think you could do without it. Like, talk about something you did in training that just this kind of carried you through. What some of the crazy stuff? We all know that you've done some crazy stuff in training to become the high level athlete that especially to be a 2-time world champion. So tell us a story about some of them, like a training tale.
The big training tale, John, and Nick, is that the weirdness of Highland Games is that there aren't many of us doing it. And so, like, I never had a training group, right? For the 10 years I competed in that sport and traveled around the world, like, I didn't meet up with 5 guys once a week to do events. I didn't do any of that. I trained in a garage by myself, and I threw by myself, and I recorded all the video, and I analyzed my own throws, and I figured it out based on a background I already had in throwing. And so, like, man, that's the big stuff. It's going out there to the field 4 days a week by yourself, and no one gives a shit. It's showing up in the garage gym and grinding, because it's not about the hard day, right? Like, no one got strong because of a fucking hard training session. The only thing you can really accomplish in a hard training session is not training for 2 more weeks. And so, like, it's fucking stacking paper every day. It's not about trying to do that big hit. And, like, I realized that it was the grind, and it was being able to, the other side of that was be smart and not let my fucking ego get in the way of that training for a really long period of time, to be able to say, we're gonna not be good in May because we're trying to be a world champion in August.
Yeah.
So we're not gonna throw well for the first 16 games of the year.
Yeah.
They're practice. Go out and do what you worked on that week. Some games I'm gonna show up and be sore because it ain't time to peak.
Yeah, I love what you said, brother, because when you're out there by yourself, filming yourself, and it's all the shit you do when no one's looking that makes you good.
Right.
When everybody's looking, that's really fucking easy. But when you're by yourself, you're wet, you're cold, you're uncomfortable, whatever the circumstances are, and you're still getting it done. That's where the champions are made.
Well, dude, everything that's good now is back pay. You just have to fucking ride your thing out long enough to get to back pay.
Yeah.
100%. Couldn't agree more.
I mean, Nick, I'm sure you went with it, and John, you went through it, right? When you get out of the professionally competing part of it, you wonder, why is anyone going to give a shit?
Yeah.
And it's because they're into you. They're into the full thing. It's not the thing you did.
Yeah.
That's just proof that it works.
Yeah, totally. Because like you are, I mean, basically you're a 2-time world champion, but that's something that you did. That's not Matt Vincent is more than just a 2-time world champion. That's just one of your dimensions.
I'm glad I don't look like that guy anymore. You know what I mean?
Yep, 100%. It's yeah. No, I
most people don't know what I did at this point.
Yeah,
I haven't competed since 2016.
And I love how you literally understand that people they're interested in you. Yes, you did that thing, but it's you that they're interested in. It's your methodology they're interested in. It's your philosophy. It's the way that you get there. That's really cool, brother. This is powerful
I hope
stuff.
it is, because that's the sustainable thing that we can all produce, right? Is that bit that's true to us. Like if I'm trying to hold the line that's be this professional Highland Games to keep people interested, I can't.
Yeah.
And so being me is really sustainable.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. I love it. Well, on that level, let's turn the corner into, obviously you live by your set of rules. You don't buy into what society says you have to do, which is one thing that makes you, which is what makes you so unique and why people gravitate toward you. So talk to, when did that whole thing, when did you kind of figure that out? Because most people never figure it out.
There was a lot of big shifts that came through that kind of window of getting hurt. And, what started probably as like the first big light bulb moment was, my old man passed away. My dad got pancreatic cancer and died fucking 11 months later, and passed away at 62 years old in 2014 on April 5th, the day before my birthday. I turned 32. So I turned 31 the day after he passed away at 62. And man, the fucking alarm flag going off of being halfway. It's never turned off since that moment. And like the more I thought about that, and that's 1,612 weeks. That's it. Everything I want to fucking accomplish in my life, all the dreams, all the rad experiences, all the cool shit has to be done in that amount of time.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to get any younger. I'm not going to get more mobile. So fucking get going.
Yeah. No, I love it.
So man, I spend my time trying to hook up me in 5 years. Like that's who I'm trying to do the biggest favors for. And so like once that clicked in, man, and I had a relatively normal life at that point. I'm working an outside sales job, petrochemical industry. I travel and compete on the weekends, and I hadn't even started the brand yet. That started that year in October. Then got hurt at the end of 2016 with the chronic pain deal and ran into that, and then lost the real job I had. And so leaned into doing the entrepreneur thing. And, man, once I kind of got out of the normal thing and realized that I could travel and build this company and do the things that I love to do from the Highland Games, which was travel and get to meet these people and hold conversations and experience new places, that if people were still interested in that side of the story and I can still do it with the podcast or any of these other things, yeah, I'm all in. I'll take that risk. And, look, I don't know that I even really consider it a risk, man. Look, I did a full career, 10 plus years in an industry. I can fucking work hard. So if I ever need to get a job, I'll go get a job.
Yeah.
Getting a job's not hard. I have skills and I work my ass off. But fuck, man, if I can build my own universe and build my own world that I don't have to answer to anyone else. And once I kind of realized that was a possibility, there's no going back.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean it sure shit isn't the lazier side. I was far lazier working for someone else. That's building someone else's shit, man. I'm not passionate about it. I like clocking out. But now that I have that anxiety about fucking TikTok on my life, I don't want to clock out anymore. But I also don't do anything I don't want to do.
Yes. Well, that's it right there, brother. Your life is filled with things that you choose to do, which makes a whole different place to live. Most people live this life where 75% of their life They're choosing to do something they don't really want to do. You have created it, like you said, your own universe where everything you do is a choice.
Well,
and
I think that's a hang up,
place.
man. It is, but I think that's a hang up that people end up on, John, is that well, everything's still a fucking choice. Just be really clear that you're not obligated to do shit. There are consequences, favorable and unfavorable, for whatever decisions it is that you want to fucking make. But if you don't want to do something, no one physically is fucking dragging you to go do it. So make a decision. And if you're going to go, accept that you chose to be there. And then fucking be there and be present. If you don't want to go and you're going to be a pain in the ass and you're going to bitch and moan, stay the fuck home and don't go. Do something else that makes you happier.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. Absolutely.
Yeah, and so it's still a choice. Even if you're doing things that you're not that into, you chose to have that job. No one fucking pointed a gun at you. Find another one.
Yeah. So your world is basically filled with choices that you want versus
damn right.
So many people are filled with choices that they don't really want, but they're still choosing to do it, which then leads 75% of the life to be very unfulfilling, which I believe is what leads so many people to be unhappy.
I agree with you.
We're looking at a guy right here. As your words, I love it. I created my own universe. That's fucking beautiful, brother.
Dude, I think that's something everyone should do.
Yes, I totally agree. I mean, I've never really had real jobs. I've been kind of an entrepreneur from the jump, and I've just never could picture myself going to work for somebody else where my hard work was going to benefit them. I would rather have my hard work benefit me, even if I'm going to have a lot of failures, but that's okay. But that's like you're saying, you can choose to do what you want to do, and it might not be easy, but you can choose to do it, and you can choose to be successful. It's all choices. This is fucking beautiful, brother.
It's
I'm in this process. I'm in this process now because up till the TV show, all through my competitive career, I worked for a beer company. I spent 18 years working for beer companies, and I had to take that chance for the TV show and leave because they wouldn't let me take all that time off of work. And it made and I appreciate what they did do for me, but it's like I needed to take that risk, and it's been nothing but the best thing I've ever done. But I'm in the process of building my brand and doing all those things that you've done. And so I'm learning a lot from you just listening to this. I talked with Brian last week. I learned a lot from him, and it can be done. And the cool thing is I'm working for me now.
That's it. And the thing to remember, take as many notes as you can. Look, I've been really fortunate with the brand building, Nick, to be around close friends, Kelly Starrett or Rob and Dana Lynn Bailey and Bart and Gio Kwan, who own Barbell Brigade, and Steffi and Hayden, and a lot of peers that do now a similar thing to figuring out whatever the fuck this world is that we're operating in.
Right. So it's really cool to hear this and to get this story out so that other people can see this and take control of their lives as well and do what they love to do. Yeah, it's a risk. But like you said very prominently earlier, you know how to work hard. Yep. I know how to work hard. I know I can go get a job with just about any beer company in this country and excel at it. I already know I can do that. Now I got to do it for me. And it's just really refreshing to hear all this coming out of you and the fact that other people are going to learn how to do this and take control of themselves from this. So thank you.
Yeah, man. And look, I treat everything, Nick, with the same philosophy that I've got with lifting, right? And like building a successful business or getting stronger. And I tell people, like, what's your advice to get stronger? It's, I want you to bench, squat, deadlift, and overhead press moderately heavy once a week for a decade.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. Yes.
That's it.
I mean,
and so treat your business the same way. Like, man, don't get too set on what you're expecting to happen because you don't fucking know. You've never done this. Right. So stop making that part up or basing it on someone else's shit or comparing too much. Only give a shit about progress.
That's it.
As long as it's going forward, who fucking cares?
How do you step forward again today? That's it. Every day you got to find a way to step forward. This is the shit that people need to hear, brother. I fucking love it. And
I just don't believe in selling magic. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it's you're selling. It's just a different perspective on the way society's trained us to look at things a certain way. We don't have to look at it that way. And
they want you to stay in a box.
Yep.
Yeah.
But that works. Like that, it works that way. And we're seeing a huge fucking backlash right now. Like right now, one of the things going on is people aren't taking jobs.
Yep.
And everywhere's hiring. But also, look, if we've given people the option now to Uber Eats or, work for Uber or work for yourself and be on your own time in your own car, listening to podcasts that you want to listen to. Like you can still drive around, make money and educate.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck going to sweep floors at that restaurant for less money.
Yeah.
Yes. Brother, I'm telling you, the quote of the fucking show is, I built my own universe, right? That's fucking beautiful. That summarizes the whole fucking thing right there.
Now with that, look, that's something I know people can hear. And look, it's fucking great to see this many years into what I'm doing. And I've got a gym and I've got this and blah, blah, blah. It started with spending $350 fucking dollars on Craigslist and getting the scariest squat rack I've ever seen, a shitty barbell and some plates. But it was mine. It was my fucking world. I listen to my music. I don't have to put shit away. If I want to lift heavy and blare Celine Dion, it's no one's fucking business.
That's it. Dude, that it's because I have my own setup. I train by myself at my own place as well. And one of the things that I do is I'll play one fucking song and I plan to repeat the whole fucking time because it puts my mind in this little loop. And then I'm just focused on what I'm doing. And that little loop keeps me focused right there. But can you imagine if somebody was training with me, they would have been going fucking bananas.
It's exactly right. Wife, but they don't get a vote.
My wife is like, I can't train with you because you listen to one song. I said, what? I listen to that one song for a reason. Maybe you're not supposed to be there. Yeah.
It's just the Baby Shark song. That's the thing he hasn't told anyone.
I know. It's sometimes I swear to God, dude, sometimes it is like a fucking Celine Dion song. It's fucking crazy because some days it's a song that hits me here. I don't know fucking why. Bam. That thing's looping and it's looping from the moment I start warming up till the moment I fucking finish wiping my forehead, fucking move on.
The other side of that, building your own universe and having your own little garage space or whatever it is, whether that's a place to, stretch and do mobility work at home or have a cold setup or anything that's yours. You get to use it on your terms to make you better. That's what I mean by building your universe and not depending on someone else's shit. And man, that playing your own song stuff, like John, I love it. And that's the best part of having your own thing is like no one gets a vote.
Yeah, that's it. Including my wife. Right.
I think my training partners have lost their minds a few times on my choices for music.
Good.
At times.
But you're
go from 12-foot Ninja to Rush.
Well, but also perform when it fucking counts.
Yeah,
exactly.
Brother, you're the big swinging dick in the training group. You make the fucking calls on the music.
So,
my name's on the door. Right, that's right.
Yeah.
It may as well have a password on the stereo. Like, so I've got dope set up. My gym is set up. So we branded the gym. So the brand of the gym is Dope, and it's Division of Performance Enhancement. And so I've got it all set up. It's pretty spaceshipy. I did all the lights to where I can control full color and whatever else throughout the whole gym. And
I've seen that on your Instagram, dude. That thing's fucking sick.
I love it. I'm very happy.
You can't tell if you're at a fucking nightclub or doing squats. I fucking love it, brother. It's fucking great. Now, the first time I saw it, I was like, what the fuck's he doing in there? Wait a minute. Okay, I see it. That's really fucking cool, brother. I dig it.
Now, Interesting enough, like I've switched to now using that. Like I have a home office here, but the office I've got at Dope where the podcast studio is, I've just now been working out of there throughout the day, kind of playing with a new, I haven't gone somewhere as an office in a really long time, probably 12 years. And so now having a place that I go every day, it's weird because it's, in the gym and I've got all the gym equipment. It's like I treat the gym like a giant fidget toy all day. So it's like I'm working on things. And as I have run into a problem, like I'll go walk on the treadmill for 5 minutes. Yeah. Like everything's there. Or go sit in the sauna. Or
in the sauna, yeah, totally.
That's it. And I love that. It just feels like I'm walking around inside my own brain.
Yeah, I love it. So, brother, check this out. So this whole concept of create your own universe. For those that are listening that have still been kind of blinded or channeled into society's way of doing things, what would be a piece of advice you'd give to those who are intrigued by, if they're hearing this for the first time? What would your piece of advice be?
Is whether or not you want to play by those rules or you don't, understand that that's the choice you're making. That's the big one. You're not locked in on the rails here. There's not rails that you're on that are leading you from from birth to the grave. Like you can take a left turn at any point. There's consequences for it, but sometimes hitting the detonate button's the move. And if you've made it far enough way down one path and aren't happy, don't fucking ride the clock out there. The only real gift we have is time, and that thing is ticking. That's the only scarce commodity there is. It sure as shit isn't success or happiness or any of that stuff. Everyone can have it. And so since time's the only one that matters, be fucking real careful of how you choose to spend yours, who you spend it with. Spend it with people that make your life better, that make you happier, that bring more to you. Spend it with people that are 1 + 1 = 3 equation in your life, that everything's just better when you're around those people, and stop dealing with people that want to slow you down. Start eliminating them, start figuring out how to get away from them, and at least start figuring out how you eliminate them affecting your emotions. You choose who you give the keys to that to. You can't always pick who you interact with, but you can choose how much you let them fuck with you. If they're draining people, understand that that's how you're dealing with them. They don't get in. And limit interaction. And I'm fucking dead honest with those people of why I don't deal with them, because I find you challenging and you're difficult, and I don't have to.
Again, I love the honesty, brother. The honesty. It's just so simple, so straightforward. It's so effective. I fucking love it. Well, that's a great piece of advice. I think for anybody listening that's intrigued by what you're saying, I think that's a great first step, brother. So, well, we've talked about a lot of cool stuff, but now you got to share with everybody. You went from, you a 2-time world champion Highland gamer at close to 300 pounds, and obviously all sorts of surgeries and replacements. And now tell everybody what you're doing now, brother. What this
So did a bit of running, and so I set some goals earlier this year, and I wanted to go. Once my knee started working again, I really just needed something to train for, as it's been a long time. I can't do strength anymore. I can't get max strong. And I've kind of, been a real fucking baby about following a program because it doesn't fit what I like doing. Meanwhile, I fucking know it's good for me. And so changing the mindset and deciding, I signed up to go do a 20-mile trail run in Bryce Canyon, Utah. And, decided to train for it. And I just decided I'll do the hours. It's 20 miles. I could walk it. Worst case scenario. And so the intention of that training block wasn't to become a good runner or fast or have any of those metrics. The intention was to be a better runner than I currently was, which is 0.
Yeah.
And man, it's such an interesting thing learning a new sport and watching how quickly you get better at it and how comfortable you get. And so, the first week, my goal was I did 12 weeks of training for it, and it was all run based and it was time based. So it was I'm going to do an hour, 5 days a week, and I run as much as I want and walk as much as I want. If things hurt, I'm confident enough in me. I don't need someone to count reps. I know I'm pushing me to the point that we're going to make progress, but not do setbacks. Yeah, we know where that line is now enough. We've all crossed it plenty of times. Yeah. I want to tap that line as much as I can. I just can't afford to cross it anymore.
Yeah. Understand that?
Yeah, you will get that.
100%.
Yeah, and so the running thing was just such, and not only that, I'll never be good at it. I'm a 38-year-old strength athlete that is still at my ultimate leanest is 235 pounds. Like, I'm not going to be a good runner. I'll never be the runner that I was the Highland Games athlete. 0% chance. And because I'll never be good at it, the real obsession switch for me won't ever turn over. Because I can't ever start convincing myself, like, fuck, we could be competitive at this. We could get involved. And then fucking everything in the rest of my life right now is going to fucking fall apart. And so, like, I'll pick a hobby I'm bad at.
And you get that. Plus, when you a new venture, you get those beginners gains, which are so fun. You get those huge quantum leaps. Of course, you know, we all hit that point where it starts to flatten out. It gets a little more difficult. But the beginning of this whole venture must have been really exciting for you. Yeah.
And that's really what I'm kind of interested at this point, John. Now that I'm not the sport specific athlete that I was for 10 years, what else can I dabble in? Like, what else is this machine capable of doing? What else can I learn as an athlete? And so I just wanted to run and steal all the beginner gains.
Yeah, there you go.
And then bail once things were going to get tricky. And then from that point on, but there was some really interesting stuff I learned from the running, and it just came from the increased endurance, was how much harder I could work, like on, you know, work stuff, cognitive things, you know, business things, creative ideas, how much longer I could do it before, like, I had to tap for the day that I was just spent. So it was pretty neat how it built the gas tank on everything. And so since then, it was kind of a figure out of like, okay, so that's something I'm not willing to give back is a new ability. How much running does it take to just hold on to that? And it seems like if I do 3 hours of cardio a week with some running involved, you know, 3 5Ks a week, give or take, it holds on. Like if I know that I could go pound for an hour if I needed to today, I seem to have the endurance of really being able to kick more ass longer all day.
It's a bit of a nice bit of personal growth with this whole thing as well. Yeah.
Right. I mean, what are we doing at this point? Trying to get better.
Yeah.
And so learned a bunch from that. I like the aspects of running, of how they feel at, say, hour 4 to 5. Like there's a pretty cool zone there of how you feel.
Yeah.
I'm not always interested in giving you the first 4 hours to find it. And so,
well, I mean, the body will give us the best drugs on the planet. You just
for sure.
You just got to get through those thresholds so it'll start fucking dumping them on
you. Yeah, man. If it would show up like that in the first 30 minutes, I'm super fucking into it. But yeah, I also learned from doing that 20-mile run. I finished it in right at 6 hours, and it was like 4,000 feet elevation. It was great. My goal was to be in good enough shape to enjoy that day.
That's awesome, brother.
And I was, and I did, right?
And it was trails, correct? Trails.
Yeah. So we've got a YouTube video. We did a movie on it called Fragile on my YouTube channel, and it kind of shows everything from the knee surgeries to getting through the run. And the big part that came with that run, man, was I'd just been scared of my body for so long that like I couldn't take damage anymore because of how chronic pain it got me, and I just got so fragile feeling.
Yeah.
And finishing that run really brought some new confidence out of like, we're fucking okay. We're okay.
That's fucking great. Yeah. That's really cool.
Yeah. So I'm interested in dabbling now and, you know, some more jujitsu or trying some other stuff. Like I want to try everything.
That's fucking great, brother. Yeah. Yeah. Nick, you do that, correct, brother?
Yeah. I'm getting back in. Now that my lat's pretty much good, I get my car back. I think within the next week. So instead of picking up Cali, I'm going to be going to jiu-jitsu again.
Right on.
Probably starting next week. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I was having
I think I'm going to buy a mat and have it up at the gym, and I've got some people that'll come up there to roll. Just with my knee and hip, it's better for me to do privates. Right. Instead of some 140-pound girl fucking need to send me to the hospital. So
yeah, they actually set me up pretty good. I can roll around with the class if I want, or I can sit to the side and just work technique with some of the guys all through the class. You don't have to roll super hard or do things that are super dangerous. Just work technique, and it's something I can see me getting extremely addicted to. So
I think it's a huge tool
as I move out of the strength stuff. So
yeah. And not only that, like what a valuable tool it is, right? Like as far as people being concerned, one of the nicest things that came from a little bit of boxing training I've done and some of the jujitsu is I'm very aware of how incapable I am to defend myself. And so being honest about that is a really valuable thing. Don't fucking cause problems because chances are you'll get your shit beat in. If anyone has any concept of what they're doing, you're in big fucking trouble. So be nicer to people or learn to defend yourself, asshole. And so
the honesty, brother. Again, the honesty is just fucking unbelievable. I love it, dude. I love it.
I mean, look, I'm aware I'm a shot putter. Like I could probably throw a pretty ugly right hand if I had to. But at the same time, like if that fight went any more than about 10 seconds, I'm probably fucked. Like, I don't know what move 2 is.
Oh my God, dude. That was beautiful. A pretty ugly right hand. Oh my God. That was just love it, brother. Love it. I love it, dude. Like get better at stuff. And that like build confidence and it eliminates anxiety because you're learning and educating. And it's experience of hell, even in that close quarters, at least I know what it's like if I have someone aggressively on top of me. You're learning and bringing new stuff to the table to deal with bigger stress down the road. And like, what a cool way that we can choose what we want to adapt to at this point. Yeah. Really cool, brother. Really cool. Well, absolutely. I got to tell you, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show. But before we wrap up, I really want to know, I mean, there's so much to you, brother, so much. What is the legacy that Matt Vincent is going to leave behind? What is it that when you're gone, what is it that you want to be remembered for? What impact? I mean, talk to us about that because there's so much to you. What is it you want to leave behind?
I hope that I'm looked at as a leader. Like that someone that led by example, someone that walked the walk and wasn't full of shit. Like I can't think of anything worse than to be thought of as a charlatan at the end of my thing. Yeah, man, I want to affect people and be honest and build a community and have people that have this realization that they can build their own world and that they don't have to fit in and that being weird's fine. Just lean into it and do your thing at full speed.
Yep.
You know, I just want to leave ripples in the ponds for those people. You know, I think there's a lot of people that are great lighthouses out there to help people find their way. And whether, you know, if I'm your cup of tea, man, I really want to be your cup of tea.
Well, one of the things you said is honesty. Well, brother, you got that one fucking cold.
I don't have a good enough memory to lie to people, John. It's a fucking problem.
Yeah.
And the best thing is your honesty is fucking comical too, because it's so honest. It's almost in a way you don't hear people speak. You know, it's fucking beautiful, brother.
It's refreshing. It's
yes,
amazing.
Absolutely.
Very refreshing. And it's something the world could use a lot more of, actually.
We've landed in a very strange place. It'll be curious to see how the pendulum swings back the other way.
Yeah.
So it will.
Very true.
You know, maybe what I hope the pendulum swing back the other way is those of us who seem to be rational and logical, who live in the middle of what both of these insane sides currently are, is someone decides to represent us.
Yeah, brother, I'll tell you, brother, the thing that's been so great about this is you're evolving, you're growing. So I guarantee you, if it's good with you, we'd love to have you back on, because in a year
I'd love to do it, man.
In a year from now, we're going to have a whole different perspective coming out of you, which is something that, I mean, the world needs to see this type of growth in, say, a year period of time. So, brother, this was totally awesome. I thank you for coming on, and we definitely want to have you come back again if you're good with it. We had a great time.
I would love that.
You got anything? That's awesome, brother. Nick, do you got anything else for Matt before we cut loose?
Just want to say thank you, and I learned a lot today, so I greatly appreciate that.
And Nick, man, I'm a full fucking resource, dude. As you're working on your brand, anything you need, feel free to text me, get in touch. Look,
Sweet. Rising
tide raises all ships, man. I want more of the kick-ass people in our industry doing kick-ass stuff.
Yeah,
so
sweet.
My playbook is open.
Sweet, thank you. I will be contacting you.
Please.
I will.
Right on.
And again, I'd love to have you on the podcast too. Hell, maybe this is a good time. Come out to St. Louis and get to see everything we've got going on and how it all works.
Absolutely.
So
we'll figure that out. Probably within the next couple months or so.
That'd be sick.
We'll figure it out. We'll get some time, or I'll come out there.
Hell yeah.
Mm-hmm. Heck yeah.
Love it.
This would be good. That'll be a lot of fun.
Dude, it'd be great.
Then we can practice some rolling too. Okay.
Yeah, it'd be super fun.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, brother, thank you once again. This was an amazing experience, and we look forward to having you once again. That's another edition of Legend of Iron, everyone. Thank you very much for watching. We'll see you next time. Legends of Iron is brought to you by Muscle Mints. Muscle Mints is the creator of Carnivore. Beef builds muscle, and Carnivore is the world's #1 selling beef protein.